such an asshole.
You know, there's either a lot of people in the spa, or is it just not enough of me? And I ask myself that question. That is the great Uncle Chico. None of you know him. I've never mentioned him before, but you get a couple drinks in him. There's either I don't know. There's either too many people in the spa, or is it just not enough of me? I was that guy. Anyway, so I found myself in a similar situation that reminded me of the great Uncle Chi. I don't know. Are there too many people in this bar, or is it just not enough of me? And one thing I learned, but I don't execute on um, enough as a human being with a thinking mind or an economy. Sometimes you don't know, and sometimes maybe the answer is a little bit of both. So let me tell you about the quandary I faced. So I started noticing this, it was a year ago, where all these girls just started crying on the internet. And then there's been a cottage industry that arose in response. People like Taylor the Fiend, Legion of Men, all these guys. And I was watching it. It's a train wreck. They just got video, a limitless number of girls crying and whining and complaining about men. And I'm like, it can't be that bad. It can't, like, some didn't add up. And I started noticing that they're always typically pretty good looking. And then I think where I kind of figured out, like, yeah, there's got, at least some of these girls have got to be bullshitting you. The idiot blonde dork. Oh my god, I gotta work 8 hours a day. Da, da, da. And some people helped. There was a community effort. Geez, Cappy, you're surprised women are going for attention on TikTok and the internet? Like, oh, okay, you got me there. I'm like, what? Why always with the crying? Oh my God, I do not tolerate crying. A little side note here, gentlemen never tolerate crying. That is a childish thing. Do not tolerate crying. Absolutely not. Nope. Use your words. Niece starts to use words. There's no reason to cry. Knock it off. So you guys are kind of like, I mean, you're surprised their attention. There's certainly a financial incentive. We saw that with Miss Marketing Major and her fancy SUV, the car of which is fancier than my house. She's like, oh my god, I have to work in this sushi restaurant. Oh. And we kind of talked a little bit about it on Rule Zero, but there's an element of Jerry Springer. Was it K-Fab? Is that what the young kids call today? Professional wrestling, where this is BS. There's a BS element or component, but then I still can't get over how many there are. Some of them do seem to be like they're crying Cappy. They could turn it on and off. Okay, maybe that's true, but I got to imagine there's at least an element of truth. And then some of them, I haven't looked at the channels. I'm sure they get thousands, millions of subscribers, things like that. It's been going on, and back in my day, one of the writers, I guess, from Cosmo, finally, she's old now, baby boomer one. But back when I was a teenage boy, this vile, worthless woman who needs to be kicked right in the sea. In Minecraft, we never advocate violence. But I mean, this is a despicable woman. She's like, yeah, we're just lying and getting people all geared up. So there is this false news, fake news, which has been magnified now with clickbait and monetization and all this other stuff. But I'm still like, yeah, but if they were brought up on it, on that diet back in whatever 1986, they seem to actually believe it. So again, and I didn't know, like, how much of it is real, how much of it is it fake? Answering, you don't know, you probably can't know, and it's probably a little bit of both. Then I was tuning into Joker over at Better Batch, or tuning into our good short bald friend. Cappy, are you short? Yes, I am, but he's a little shorter than me, so you got to take him when you can. I guess there was some lady who wrote for Forbes or Fortune or Business Insider or one of these no-name, irrelevant, completely pointless business magazines, which when you were younger, you thought, oh, these are really smart people, right? And he played her video because and here it is with the crying again. If anything, ladies, here's Cappy, it's fake. Cappy, it's kayfabe. Cappy, it's professional wrestling. Okay, but ladies, you do realize how bad it makes you look, even if you are faking it. Where, oh, I didn't know. I just wanted a child. I didn't know feminism would do it. So, would ruin my life, that kind of thing. You crying, like, no. You just ruined 50 years of feminism, 60 years, however many years you want to consider it progress. So the one that Joker had was this gal who rude not having children. She's 48. I guess she's my age. She wrote an article in one of those has-been magazines. It went viral, and every man in the world came down on the woman. And I think it was sincere because then she did a video where she's crying, like, I can't believe all the mean things men said to me, but they're true. They're not mean then, lady. Welcome to Asshole Consulting. I don't know. Was it that seemed a little bit more legit to me? But even in this, I don't know how many years it's been going on. The year I've been paying attention to it or paying it any heed. In the past 3 months, I said, am I just watching too much? Am I looking too long into the abyss? Am I consuming too much material? Or is there an actual definitive trend where now there's a new trend of these girls where I don't want to work anymore. I want to be a traditional wife. I want to be a stay-at-home. Oh man, this college thing, it's so I'm never going to be able to pay up my student loan debts. Whatever, the girl can't hack it 8 hours a day. And actual legitimate calls like, I don't like this feminist thing anymore. And so whether it's sensationalism, kayfabe, professional wrestling, the Jerry Springer show, or it's sincere and you girls are starting to have buyer's remorse and regret for going down this road, or maybe not even you weren't a big feminist and you just happened to do what you were told and believe what the adults told you, and now you're like, well, I really wish I could. I remember this way back in the day when I was in my younger 30s. We're hanging out with our friends, and by hanging out with friends, like hanging out with men and women, and some of the women you'd have sex with. Those are the good times. And I remember the girl saying, I I don't really want this feminist. I wouldn't mind being a stay-at-home mom. And I even remember then because I was an economist back then too. I said, well, too fucking bad. You keep voting Democrat all this time, and we can't afford after voting Democrat to take 40% of our taxes. Look it up. I'm not even going to bother. Now you got to add a couple extra percentage points for inflation. Oh, and by the way, ladies, you have progressive income taxes because fuck the rich. Am I right? But yet you want a rich man. Let me guess, you didn't major in logic in school, huh? And then making everyone get college degrees and going into debt for it. Because again, women, Karen in HR is not a man. Don't tell me HR isn't but a bunch of cabal, a coven of witches, making it impossible. There's no, we're like, where were we supposed to work? We're of traditional marrying age, younger 30s, late 20s. Like, where exactly were we supposed to get the money to raise you and pay for you and the 2 children you want in the house? I'm sorry, I'm barely getting by. And those are in pretty good economic times. They weren't the worst. Anyway, so you girls, maybe it's coming to a crescendo. Maybe it's coming to a fevered pitch. And if I have to rule, if I have to guess, if there's not enough people in this bar, there's just not enough of me. I think it's a little bit of both. I think a lot of it is you girls are attention whoring. Sorry. I think a lot of it is to get clicks and monetize video, YouTube, TikTok channels, whatever. I think a lot of it is there is more than a seed of truth to these videos being made. And then I also think that there is actually 100% sincere women who are like, well, I don't want to get off the ride anymore. It's kind of like the movie Night and Day. Great movie. Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz is like, I want to get off the ride. I want to get off the ride. Tom Cruise is like this rogue special agent. Like, yeah, sorry, you can't. No, you can't do it because he's like, it's a great movie. You just got to see. Here, oh my God. You want to see differences in the sexes? Go watch Night and Day. I want to get off. I want to get off. Nope, sorry, June, can't get off. With me, without me. With me, without me. With me, without me. Someday. It's just code word for never. Oh, it's a great flick. Great flick. Watch that before you watch any shit in the theaters now. So for all the gals who are either partially sincere, very sincere, secretly sincere. Oh, don't tell your sorority sisters you always wanted to get married. Publicly sincere, you know, the lady who wrote for Inc. or whatever. I really want to get married, and then got attacked. Like, I can't believe it. You would have listened to him anyway. Whatever your level of, or you're a younger gal, and you're like, why does my mom and my grandma, all divorced, my aunts, all divorced, why are they so pissed off and angry all the time? I kind of like playing with dolls, and I kind of wanted to get married. And what's wrong with that? So for you younger girls that still have a shot, well, no, I can't say that. This one isn't for you younger girls that still have a shot because you have a shot. This is for the ones who are a little bit older. You can't go back. You can't get off the ride. We can't go back to the way it was. I'm gonna go over some reasons, and it's not that you could have put effort into it. It's not that you couldn't change your philosophical outlook, but I'm saying there have been some things in play for decades, sometimes over half a century, that you're just not undoing. These are permanent changes, at least for our generations, the generations that are alive today, and there's no going back. And for the sake of you girls, because everyone suffers. You're all going to suffer, and and there's always an instance where you're not going to get what you want, which is fate. That's just going to happen. That's how life is. We don't always get what we want, but you make it worse, pining and hoping and praying and trying to get something you want. And it wasn't me that came up with it. It was some Chinese philosopher who said, worrying is interest on a debt that has to be repaid regardless. Or, oh no, I'm sorry. Worrying is the unnecessary interest to be paid on the hell? To be paid on the debt. I'm hearing something. To be paid on the debt that has to be repaid regardless. Oh, it's a weed whacker. I'm like TFM. I got Mexicans working my neighborhood too. All right. That's what it is. I was like, that's not a garage door. So, as an olive branch to help explain to you girls that are, I don't want you ruining the rest of your life pining for something you're not going to get. There's no reason for you to cry anymore. No, woman, don't cry. No, woman, don't cry. However, the rest of the song went. And so let me go and explain to you just what underlying fundamental trends have, infrastructure, psychological programming has been put in society. So you like, oh shit, yeah, it's not going to happen to you. It just isn't. So first, oops, I didn't want to click that one. Hang on. Can you guys hear that? All right. The number one thing uses for most people, women, not all of you, but you're old. All right. Men are interested in physical youth and beauty, female youth and beauty. That's not to say you can't be a hot, milfy cougar type of babe. You can, and you'll do better if you're in physical attractive shape, regardless of your age, than not. But for the days of I want to attract a man and he's going to take care of me and all that, yeah, those are kind of gone. I mean, you might get married, but he ain't going to take care of you. Not with that. So just you had this is fine. Hey, you might want to settle down, cash your chips in, and you didn't. And then you girl bossed a little bit too close to the sun, and you didn't save any 401k wings or a parachute, and the analogies continue on. Yeah, you might get married. You're not having kids. You're not going to get the guy. Here's the other. You're not going to get the guy that's going to make you happy. We know you have very specific tastes and requirements in men, both physically, financially, psychologically, it just isn't going to happen. And I think you girls do know that by now, given all the failure in dating, even marriages you've had. There's not that much time left on the clock, and you're not going to find a guy that's going to make you happy. Right? There's just not enough tens in the world to go around. They only make up 10% of the population. 90% of you are going to suffer at minimum. More likely 99, because you're all going to go after the top 10, and then they're just going to cycle through and never commit. But that's how it goes. Another thing, especially when it comes to children, menopause. Lisa needs braces. Menopause. Lisa needs braces. There's this thing called menopause. I don't know if you heard it. They try to teach it to us. I don't know why I was paying more attention to the female sex ed. Like, oh, menopause, they can't have kids no more because they ain't got no eggs. No more eggs. They all dried up in there. All gone, gone. You can't have no kids. No more eggs. So I love how fellow women, and it's strictly them, lie to you and propagandize you. There was a lady who was on NSNBC. She was an anchor, and she had her child at 51. And there was another article about another woman who had her child in her 50s. And it's like, boy, you really think you can go to you'll cling on to it? Well, no. God, nature, reality, which I strongly recommend developing an intimate and familiar relationship. Reality will serve you well. Yes, some of you might be lucky enough to have a healthy baby at 51, but God Almighty, it is not going to be the majority of you. So I'm just telling you how it is. If you want lies, there's the media and the Democrat Party and Oprah and the Hallmark Channel, and I mean, there's plenty of other resources you can go, oh, I'm the bad guy. But again, I'm trying to spare you paying that extra interest on the debt that has to be repaid. So is that legal? I'm shocked about this one. What? You guys didn't see your folks get divorced? Really? The women alive today who are in the marriage market, even if you're older, if you're Gen X, all right, but the boomers, fuck you. You're not part of it. You get out of here. Go away. F right off over the sunset. Keep going. Keep going until I can't see or hear you no more. What? You all didn't see everyone get divorced? You didn't see your family's friends, everyone else get divorced? Are you nuts? That right. All of these will torpedo the marriage boat. All of this, one of these torpedoes, just one of them is enough to sink the marriage boat, the traditional lifeboat. All right, but this is a bit bigger torpedo. It's too risky for men to get married. Way too risky, let alone have kids. And how do you undo that? How do you undo, God, half a century? How do you undo half a century of a culture and even at times a celebration of divorce? Remember how they celebrate divorce? And you do know the costs that are, I mean, usually men are paying out women, right? Oh, and the kids, listen, I forget the kids. Oh, those things. Oh, I forgot about them. I was so busy with my career. That was a cheap shot, I know. You shouldn't love your kids more than your career, obviously. Men have been paying attention. That your day, have you seen the marriage rates drop? Now, I admit most women don't want to get married to the average guy. If you look at polling data, that much is obvious. But you would like to get married to the man, your dreamboat, your prince, that you have a constitutional right to, according to the U.S. Constitution and Disney. Well, how's that coming? But no, especially going forward, men are not getting that. That's gone. The wedding, that's gone. Your day, it's over. That ain't happening. The best you can hope for, now we can introduce the younger women today, is you can hope for a committed relationship, but you are going to face, I'm not saying there aren't going to be men who won't sign the marriage certificate or have a wedding. Some men will get married, but it will be a dwindling percent. I mean, there's not 100% absolutes in any of these, but I'm just giving you your statistical odds here. Psychology of men, several generations of men, it's been cemented in the West anyway. I have linked below a book called A World Without Men. What instigated me or prompted me to write that book, mainly do the research, was women telling me, I write first sentences about how when I'm second or first grade, my teacher was like, women don't need men. Okay. Uh, you can't tell men that message for generations and then say, ha ha, tee hee, just kidding, takesy backsies. No, that is permanent. That is cemented into human psychology. And I'm no neurologist. I don't know about neuroplasticity, but people's philosophy, life philosophy, religion, politics, ethical code, value system, that's pretty hard to change. By the time you're 25, it's pretty much all it's like your personality. It's pretty cemented who you are by that time. What did you think was going to happen? Telling little boys, starting when they're little boys, telling boys that they're not needed, reminding them of that, perpetually they'll become middle-aged, older men. These men made certain choices based off of that. And may I produce evidence that the younger generation, this is not a slam, I'm not slamming anyone, I'm describing it. To everyone, it's a Scooby-Doo mystery where the younger men don't have the same labor force participation rates. You call them NEETs, neither in education, employment, or training. NILFs, not in the labor force. It's not as sexy as you think. The number of you girls are complaining about the number of men living at home. Why would they go to school for 17 years, K through 12, and college included, if they're not needed? They get they can live at home. Heck, you girls will vote to give them some federal money, like a UBI or a local program or free this, free that. They don't have to work. Why would they? You said you didn't need them. And let's also be honest, though this is more nature. This is not a choice you girls made. Women are just not as attracted to men as men are attracted to women. This is why the majority of women turn down men. Also, back biologically speaking, there was much higher risk for women to sleep with a guy because if you had a kid and he went away, you'd be dead. But when you said and you told men, and I'm not even talking about women their own age, I'm talking about adults talking to boys and then having that message reinforced and then having it further reinforced by action where the majority of women will turn down the majority of men. Troy Francis, a much more handsome man than me who's dressed better, smells better, and the bastard has a British accent. I think he bats at most. It's like baseball. If you bat above 300, you're doing really good. I mean, you're a player if you're batting over 300. So even a top tier guy like that doing the shoot down, and I don't know, you have it told to you enough, you start to believe it. Remember how you all thought that any degree is a good degree, and follow your heart and the money will follow? Look how many of you guys fell for that. It turned out not to be economically true. How is that going along, by the way, with the student loans? But women are pretty important in men's life. So that environment, that message, not to mention all reinforced by actual interactions with women, dating. Were you ever cruel to a guy? Like, hey, Becky wants you to ask her out. Hi, Becky, do you want to go? And like, ew, no. And all the girls giggle at you and Becky, ha, we got Joey to ask out Becky, ha, ha, ha. It adds up. And then what was his name? Joey, Bobby, whatever. He looked. Then his mom gets files for divorce against his dad, and now I don't see his dad no more. Like, what the hell is going on? I think I'm just gonna get my degree and live at home. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna get my degree. I'm just gonna work at the Quickie Bar. So these are the seeds. These are the treatments. This is the fertilizer the lack thereof that you've been laying down. This is a full oil tanker. You've been pushing one direction, gaining speed, and now you just want to stop it, turn it on a dime, and head it back. Oil society is like even way bigger and slower to move and turn on. You can't turn society around on a dime. It's worse. It's even more momentous than an oil tanker. So this ship is going to continue sailing because that's the programming and the value system, the person and whatever, that's hardwired into men's minds. And now, if you don't believe me, look it up. Here's what will happen, Lise, if you were to start also treating men nice, men are going to be like, it's a trap. They at minimum, they won't know how to react. Be like, okay. with it's come to a point where women are like, I want a guy to ask. Why can't a guy ask me out? It's like, you got to ask a guy out. You wanted this independence bullshit and all that, and then you shoot down guys. And then there's of course the Me Too thing and all these other risks. Like, oh, don't ask a girl out at work because that would be the worst thing ever, and then you'll lose your job. The guys are like, no. It's like, okay, well, you girls can ask the guy. You girls won't even ask guys out. The hell if you're turning this ship around and pushing it back the other direction. So these psychological trends are ensconced in every adult American and Westerner today. And again, it's going to take years of goodwill and kindness and politeness, like a completely different behavior. But I mean, you're not going to do that, right? I mean, sadly, if one girl were to do that, I mean, she would increase her chance. All these things are going to be hard. They're going to be socially awkward, or like asking a guy out. Oh my God, I don't want to be a pick me. How desperate are you for a guy? But they would increase your chances. It's just guys are going to not. I mean, really, they're like, well, something's wrong. There's someone around the corner to steal my kidney. What's going to happen? And you guys all know, my regular audience all knows about my bar in Wyoming story, where a girl hit on me. I'm like, what? Something's wrong. It turned out to be true. It was a practical joke. Some other guys are going to play at the bar on me. I've even had friends do that to me, where I thought the girl actually liked me. And she, oh no, I'm married. Tee. I'm like, oh, you guys are my friends, huh? Oh, that was really funny. That is really funny. No, you can't have any of my food when the food goes away. So there's that. Men can't afford it, as I kind of talked about a little bit before when we were in our 30s. There's no way. I didn't screw up. I even owned a house at 24. I mean, I had a mortgage on it. There was no way men can afford a traditional lifestyle. Largely in part, there's many reasons, but the number one reason is you girls, generally, not all, you keep voting to raise taxes because you think being a socialist is somehow like a religion, like this good moral thing to be. Well, we'll just take other people's money to give it to other people, so I feel good about myself. And it's nothing more than that. Let's just be honest. And I know looking up economics isn't everybody's favorite cup of tea, but you kind of have to, because right now the mean tax rate and tax rates and progressive tax, it's a little more complex than this. But the average person in the United States pays about 36, 37% in taxes. I would argue it's more like 42% because of inflation, because you printed off more money. That increases your purchasing or decreases your purchasing power. It is effectively a tax, but let's just call it 37%. But as I told you girls before, you want rich men. But what do? You tax those rich capitalist bastards. And whereas in the times past, if you really want, you can get my book, Poor Richard's Retirement. How did they do it in the 50s? Well, the way they did it in the 50s is they didn't go out every night. They had a fraction of the budget that they used to. There'd be one car. A lot of times the husband would take the bus to work or walk to work, and the wife would take the car to run errands and maintain the home. But right now, two things. One, you require ridiculous levels of education for men to start going and making money. So we have to be in college until we're 22. Well, affirmative action is another thing. You don't really make it. You have preferential hiring treatment for women, so men get a disadvantage. So okay, we can't make money that way. And then you just outright take men's money. And sadly, unless the guy's like a legit multimillionaire, a guy makes 200,000 a year. He's like, oh, that's enough for me to live. Oh, I could live a traditional life. No, if you're living in Chicago or LA or San Francisco or New York, no, you're going to take damn near half of it, especially California. You're taking at least half. Half of his money is gone on sales tax, property tax, this tax, that tax, income tax. Half of it's gone. Then there's cost of living. Rent, as you all know, is very high because, well, you encourage all the guys to go become college majors and not carpenters. But never mind. You find out how long it takes to get a plumber or a mechanic there, ladies. They can't support a family. The irony of it. Well, I have to work. I can't. We can't afford a stay-at-home family. Well, if your husband wasn't paying 45% taxes, maybe there'd be enough money. Like, you got to be popular and be a Democrat. I hate to simplify it. So it's like Democrat, Republican. I'm not saying Republicans are great either, but you vote to take your husband's money or theoretical would be husband's money to the point, yeah, now you get to work too. I mean, I'm not saying you all go become card carrying Republicans, but for the love of God, I mean, and again, you girls have psychological cemented commitment to socialism, and generally speaking, it's how you derive value. Oh, I care about the environment and the people. So that's not going to change. You know how hard it is to lower taxes in any country, right? The economy has evolved around this now. You have a welfare state where people are dependent. They can work. We just don't kick their ass and make them starve. Like, you either work or die. Oh, that'd be too horrible. Well, then pay more in taxes. Well, I can't find a man. You get to feed poor people or you get to have a man. Choose. Which is more important to you? You could be a stay-at-home wife. Really, ironically, here's what happened. You women may want to have your own children. You may want to have your own family, and you may want to be a stay-at-home mom. Unfortunately, you voted everyone's taxes away to go raise some other woman's children. So what it is, go look at the federal budget. Yes, there's defense. I'm aware of defense. Go look at how much, and not just the federal budget, look at state and local. The irony, you have voted to tax yourselves in many regards too, because you girls work too. You voted to take your money away to raise some other woman's children. That's great. Just bravo. I got nothing. I can't trump. You win platinum. That's not bronze, silver, or gold. That's platinum. You win the shooting yourself in the foot Olympics on that one. Yeah, are you going to disassemble the welfare state? Are you going to make husbands and wives raise their own children now instead of welfare programs or the schools or pre-daycare or whatever? It's all, the system's already there. You're not turning off that machine. So yeah, unless you're talking really, really, really rich, in which case you're getting into the top 4% of men. And I don't know if you knew this, 4% of the men can't marry 100% of the women. They're going to have harems, but you're going to timeshare them. Most younger men haven't invested in themselves to make enough money. You have told men they're not needed. Some of you, I would dare even say, is misandrist. In general, it is a antagonistic, if not outright hostile environment you have raised young boys and men in. You have done nothing. Society has done nothing but sing the praises of women. And you legitimately, legally discriminate against men with affirmative action. It's true. It's facts. Boys aren't stupid. Also, humans have a default setting of laziness. That's our default setting. And if it doesn't look like our calories of energy are going to be reciprocated, like I got to spend 1,000 calories of energy, but I'm only going to get 800 calories of energy back out of that, well, you'll starve to death and die. And so a lot of men who, I don't understand why boys aren't going to college. Why would they? You told them you don't need them. Some of you told them you don't want them. Again, corroborating that in action, words, and deed. You've made it harder for men to find jobs with affirmative. No, there's no old boys network. That's a lie. That's just, there is, but not in this particular case. And what did you think? You're going to tax them at 40-45%? Ward Cleaver wouldn't form today. Right now, there are probably millions of young men, young boys who would become Ward Cleaver if you didn't take just shy of half their income, were kind of nice, and we agreed up on front, like, yeah, you don't have to say you need men, but children need a father, and I would love to have a husband, and I would be nice and kind to you, as opposed to playing these wicked ass mind games. Man, you gotta just lie to him, turn on the right, like, oh, fuck that. But we'll never know how many Ward Cleavers would come, how many would be, because they're not going to grow in this environment. And young men have been making different decisions. So yeah, I get a kick out of there's 7 million men who are young and staying at home and not working. You give them one reason to. One, please. Give them a reason. What, because they should? That's not a reason. You boys should get out there, pay at least 30% taxes. And you got to make this much money, but then we're going to take 55% of your taxes. Oh, what else? Yeah, so, well, and there again, decisions young men have made starting in school are going to set them on a trajectory for the rest of their life. I mean, let's say you have your average 23-year-old should graduate from college but lives at home. And what was it? In my book, A World Without Men, it's something like a quarter of men between 24 and 32, not 18 to 23. It's like the second age cohort. A quarter of men live at home. You're kind of like, well, where did those men? Why are there that's 7 million who aren't working, fair amount who live at home, and they're just going to play video games. Out of that 7 million, I mean, how many of them would have become an engineer? How many would have joined the military? How many would have become upstanding men and good fathers and good husbands who could support you on one income if you didn't piss in their face the entire time? And then, unfortunately, there's a darker side to this, and even though I don't really want to point it out, but it's true. There's retribution. I I don't. We could argue whether or not this is fact, but many men are under the impression, were brought up under the impression that society and women hated them, or certainly didn't want to have anything to do with them. I mean, you literally tell men they're not needed. Well, they're not exactly going to be your buddy or your friend. And there's a lot of guys who are like, and psychologically, they've checked out. I mean, I don't know anything about, what do they call it? Hypogenetic, not hypogenetic. What the hell is it? Environmental genetics, where you stay in an environment enough, your brain cements a certain way, but then your genetics adapt or something. Um, Men's philosophical view of women is not good right now. I'm not saying they're outright misogynist, but they don't trust you. A lot of times they don't like you. And a lot of these guys are laughing their ass. Why do you think those channels do so well where the women are crying? Because men are getting retribution. They're getting the revenge porn out of it. That's not good. I mean, it's not necessarily bad either. It is what it is. But the for a loving family to form, you can't have a guy where if you're nice to him, he's like, are you gonna shank me? Like, are you gonna divorce me? And so and in short, it's just gonna take decades. The amount of time that went into pitting men and women against each other, thank you, feminists, to just frankly hate one another, certainly distrust, that trust is going to take decades to rebuild. And so it would take a concerted, consistent, decades long effort, all the effort that you girls have been doing since the 60s. A lot of you weren't even around in the 60s. But this consistent, decades long, generations long message that men aren't needed and you're oppressing women and you hate, you're all misogynist. You're going to have to go get rid of that. Get rid of that hate. And then and you're going to have to be nice for at least a minimum a decade. Probably wouldn't be enough. A generation. And then maybe, maybe men would, maybe, but I mean, there's a ton of other why they can't afford it. So it's like, yeah, well, we could get together, but we ain't having kids because I can't afford it because you keep voting to raise other people's kids with our money. But as long as you feel good, as long as you're popular with your sorority sisters and on the internet, I would say it's going to take a generation. That's why I think by the time we bury the hatchet, by the time men would start to trust women again, be like, oh, maybe we could do the committed thing. And I'm. Let's not even talk about whether you get taxes down to a point. Men could. It's too late. It's too late. We might be alive, but we're all going to be old, grumpy old men, spinster age. Um, you're not having kids. Ladies, your eggs will be all dried up by that time. The ones currently in the market now. And I mean, I guess the best outcome, which is still a good outcome, would be like grumpy old men or grumpy old men or grumpier old men. You know, old people fall. Hell, you give me Sophia Loren, I'll stand up and salute. I mean, maybe not now, but she was a baby even back then. Holy cow. Walter Matthau getting Sophia Loren, like, yeah, right, Walter Matthau. Dude. Now, ladies, don't watch that. I'm sorry. Um, Trigger warning. If you watch Grumpier Old Men, you better stop at the end of the movie, because at the end of the movie, then they go to outtakes. And Walter Matthau sexually harasses Sophia Loren by grabbing her ass while he's hugging her. And she giggles. That's how oppressed and brainwashed women were. Walter Matthau there putting his grubby hands on Sophia Loren's ass. That's naughty. That's shame. And he should have been sued and killed. I remember this good. Even as late as the 2000, I like dancing. Girls feeling my ass. I'm feeling her ass. Like spank her in a spit. There's a way you can. I should teach Caudillo this. There's a way you lead a woman on several turns. It depends. It doesn't matter which dance it is, but you're turning. She's turning her right back because you're right-handed. You're leading with your left hand on her left shoulder. But you put your hand up here, it's like a magic trick. Everyone sees the hand. And then as you actually lead her through with your hand on her shoulder, that's what's turning her. You look like you spanked her in her ass for her to spin out, but you actually don't connect. It's the timing, and it's loud, so no one hears the actual spank, but it looks like you spanked the girl. And that's wrong. That's harassment. That's raisoning. I should be shot. Don't I feel so bad? Oh my God. I did a fake spanking of the ass of a girl at a salsa nightclub a couple times. Watch her go run for Senate and then like get me too. He did the spanking maneuver on me and I had PTSD. And then later on that night, that's a different story. Of a horny cappy who got laid when he was in his 30s. So we're gonna need rebuild trust, new psychological system, new value system, new psychology, and by that time, the current generation of even people younger than me, y'all gonna be old. It's gonna be old. It's gonna be too late. And so this then leads me to the only bit of hope, and that'd be the younger generation. Look, guys, I'm gonna say it 25 and under. Okay. Do you want this shit show to continue? Do you girls want to get married and have kids? Okay? If you do, the last people you should be listening to is your elders, especially the women. Right? There is no source out there. I mean, you'd have to go back to the olden times, like a finishing school, or maybe watch Leave It to Beaver and recompile it. There just isn't a resource for women who want to be traditional stay-at-home wives. There isn't. But you better go find out. Go find it. Go talk to some old grandma ladies at the nursing home. Find the couple that was married for 70 years. Well, how did you do it? Sit down. You might be shocked. So, but don't make the mistake that all the women currently alive today and dating and over 25 had made. And that is, I want to pay taxes and work hard and go to school and don't need no man. I want all that. Whether it's true or not, again, we don't know where the needle lies. But ladies, for you that want to get, young ladies, do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Well, there's this other person involved called the man that's involved. And don't worry, you'll get plenty of education information on what women want and women should deserve. But, you know, kind of like, well, I'd like the plane to fly. Well, you need a pilot. Okay. So you might want to think what the pilot wants. And, but that unto itself, yeah, that wisdom would have to be reconstituted, rediscovered, reconstituted, and presented to women who would want to do it. But as I've pointed out before, I don't think there's any market in that. I just don't. I think, truthfully and honestly, most women, not all, I know several young women who do want to get traditionally married. They're there. Most women don't want that. I think most women do enjoy the freedom from men. They do enjoy it. But for those of you who lied to yourself, or currently lying to yourself, no, I'm going to girl boss. And then at 32 and a half, I'm going to have 1.8 kids. Go look at the current 32-year-olds right now. Go on the internet, look how happy they are. Like, oh, stop crying. Will you stop crying? I haven't even asked you yet. What's the matter with you? Link below some resources, and maybe this will guide some gals. One, A World Without Men, analysis of an all-female economy. Ladies, if you want to kind of get to understand men and realize what is required to maintain a family, let alone a society, I strongly recommend you read that book, and it will help you become a marriageable woman. It's not how to become a marriageable woman, but it shows you some data and statistics so you at least understand what men go through. You're like, oh, I didn't know. So maybe you knock it off with the bitchy attitude, okay? Which should stand on its own. Like, don't you think you should be nice instead of a controversial, combative pain in the ass? I don't know. Man, I want to get a guy. Have you thought about trying to be nice? I just wondering about that. World Without Men, an analysis of an all-female economy. And by the way, you will also see just how feasible a lot of this feminist stuff is, where you're like, oh, women can do it. Like, oh, okay, go look at the data. You tell me how that works out. The Book of Numbers, analyzing the ROI in the pursuit of women. If there is a book or some publications or numbers and data out there that will show you girls, if you want to get a man in today's world, I would pick up that one. Because for every data statistic I mentioned, you flip the opposite and would apply to women. Okay. So you go through that. I talk about there's like 8 deal breakers: bodily mutilation, like tattoos, piercings, dumbass hair color, stuff like that, other men's kids. If you avoid these things, whether you philosophically understand it or not, you will drastically increase your chances of finding the man you want. All right. So that's something you can do. There's the menu for those of you ladies who it's too late and now you realized you wanted a man and children and all that. Well, that's not on the menu anymore. And that's why I wrote the menu, Life Without the Opposite Sex, because as they're forecasting, 45% of women will not be married or have kids of marrying age by 2030. And that means half of everyone, because, presumably you marry a guy, where half of you aren't going to have marriage or children. It's just not going to happen. And so you better figure out a reason to live in life. And that's why I put together the menu, Life Without the Opposite Sex. But that's all right. And I'm not being even tongue in cheek. Most women, unless it's Jason Momoa, they would prefer to be single. They really are only going to insist on their prince. And if they can't have their prince, they will choose to be single. And I think most women would agree with that. And then finally, The Dad You Never Had. Again, this is wisdom your dad should have taught you. This is not a book. This is a course I offer through Teachable. You could search it, The Dad You Never Had Teachable. You come to my site. But Teachable makes you name your school. You just can't offer the class. So you have to have a school because you offer several classes maybe. So I named my school very humbly, the Clary School of Economic Philosophy. And there are other courses you might take there. But for you ladies, if you wanted to well, how do I get a guy? Set down Cosmo. Stop reading any publication by Condé Nast. Stop watching the filth that is known as TikTok and take that course. And, not or, not if, not maybe, and, meaning both, and do what is in the class. And that's it. All right. Look at that, 821 people. How you guys doing? 690 comments. Good Lord. Saturday. Why don't you guys have dates? Oh, that's right. Didn't need no fish bicycle. I remember the days I was charismatic. I was. I would take girls out dancing to jazz clubs and salsa clubs. I was like a younger, whiter Nuclear Cadillo. I was good. I was good. And I look back at it, I was like, yeah, there were fun times, but it was still not worth it. It was still a pain in the ass. I can't imagine what it's like now. All right, let's get through the super chats. Liam the Dick, 2 Australian. How much do Christmas carols cost? What, you want me to sing a Christmas carol? Like a lot? I don't want to sing a Christmas carol. I'm a horrible singer. My Truth, the King, $2. Won't someone please think of the children that aren't yours? Isn't it funny, though, my truth, and everybody else listening? Isn't it funny how women voted away their money and their husband's money to raise children that weren't theirs? Isn't that funny? We can't afford our children. We have to take out a home equity loan to send our kids to college. Maybe if over the past 18 years your kid was growing up, you didn't have to pay an extra 20% in taxes to raise some bastard children, huh? I wonder if you'd have the money then. Well, you got to feel good and popular about yourself. Could you feel good and popular about raising a kid? Being a good wife, would that count for anything? Or is it just voting to transfer money that isn't even yours? That's a more moral calling. My truth, the king. $5 from the lyrical genius who brought you hits. She got no eggs and other bangers. No, 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 no. Dropping club bangers. Too much sauce for y'all. You know what would be funny is we get all my stupid sticky little songs that I sing. We flush them out into more like full length songs, not just a skit or a bit. And then we have an actual. We want to do Alex. We want a country truck driver ballad for Alex Patino, the truck driving Latino. That's got to be on the album. Someone who's musically talented could put that together. Eero 404, 8 Australian. Hi, Aaron. Finally caught you live. Enjoy your Christmas, sir. I should. You guys enjoy your very hot Christmas down there. Richard Ramirez, $5. With that Santa cap, you have a punchable face cap. What, you don't like the hat? And what, I need the hat to have a punchable face? I should have a punchable face unto itself. I don't need no accoutrements. Paracelsius Underact, $2. I took the Queenum test, got 133. Yep, welcome to the club. I guarantee you, if you're tuning in right now, you guys are all at least 115 or higher. I'm not kissing your ass. And if you're sick and tired of the stupidity, may I recommend you get my book, Curse of the High IQ. It's available on paperback, Kindle, and audio. Ice Snows, $2. I bought your latest book. I like the dedication. Yeah, did you like that? Yeah, I got TJ and Jack and Vince pretty good. Mexi Man and Cheese, $2. How long till we get an office bachelor tax? Or an official bachelor tax? It already exists in a certain way in that, for example, it's also a bachelorette tax, but if you own property but don't have kids, you pay essentially a bachelor or bachelorette tax. Men make more money generally than women, so we pay a higher income tax. And it's also not so much the tax, but who gets the money in terms of welfare programs, state, federal, local, doesn't matter. Women are significantly more dependent upon the government than men. And I think they even did a study in the U.S. There's the New Zealand study, but I think there was one done a while ago. Trent Lott, if that sounds familiar to any of you guys. Men were net tax contributors to the government, women were net tax collectors. And a lot of that, in fairness, though, is that women live longer than men. So it's not that they're just sitting there eating their bonbons, they just live longer. But there's other reasons too. I don't know, having children with felons might be a start. Did you know, Med, 2 Canadian, the elephant in the room, Mary ran through? Nope. The best. Okay, Generation Alpha, they're little kids. We're not worrying about them. The best current people, best and up to young, I'd say 40. The best you can hope for is a committed relationship. And then probably not kids. It's not going to happen. Only a few select men can actually afford to pay for you to be a stay-at-home mom and raise the kids. At one time, when we didn't tax the ever-living shit out of people, that your average plumber could raise a family of 4. It wouldn't be a fancy home, but you'd have a home. Oh, and by the way, ladies, I'm just going to tell the younger ones because you might listen. You're not getting $60,000 SUVs. Okay, you're getting used cars and you're getting by on very little. You're going to budget. Tried it, $5. Merry Christmas from Free Florida, Cappy. Keep bringing the truth. I shall enjoy the nice weather, kind of over there. No, is it? I'm not gonna worry about Infamous New York City, $5. Just marry abroad, two wives, 6 to 8 kids. No reason to even date a Western woman, earn a Western income, and build abroad, then start a business. I don't even know if I'd want to. I mean, I'm different. I'd be okay with like a harem, but there'd be like the main girl, and then there'd be the other girls that are out of the fucking house, and on in the next state over. Like, no, you no, you stay over there. Hey, speaking of it, here, Rachel, you know what? You wouldn't make a penny. You wouldn't make a penny, Rachel. But you really should write a book on how to have a traditional, how to be a stay-at-home mom. If you guys haven't subscribed to Rachel, she has several books out. Her husband Andrew kind of makes the rounds too. But she is a stay-at-home wife. Oh my God, she loves her husbands and they have babies and maybe they even have romance and she's supporting and nice and kind. But Rachel, how were you if you're oppressed and a slave to your husband, naked and pregnant, no, not naked, but barefoot and pregnant? How did you ever find time to write a book? How did you write your book in secret? Because your husband would prohibit you. He forbid you from writing a book. How dare women learn to write? Loving the book. We'll review it soon. Oh, thanks, dear. Oh, yeah, but guys, check out. Rachel, I'm not. Depending on how much of the crocodile tears is real versus fake, there may be a market for you to kind of do like stay at home mom or traditional housewife consulting or a book or something like that. Teachable, you could do it. I mean, you're qualified. You could do it, but I don't know how many women would take it. I again. Well, see, and here's another sad thing. Think about this. We got to question the veracity of what women are complaining about now on the internet. Like, are you really wanting men to come back? Or is it just shtick so you could be popular and get money? You know? And it's not like, no, they really feel bad. You mentioned, okay, no, I mean it's a legitimate concern. That sounds like bullshit to me. Universal coordinate 15 Australian, 132 divorces happen in Australia every day. Divorce is a pandemic. Yeah, and you guys only got like, 12,000 people that live down there too. Rusty Fuel, $5. Let ridiculous people breathe themselves out of existence. Chris Wallen, CPA, Cappy, I'm not on a date because there is no way to prove consent today. Yeah, and then everybody check out Chris's profile as well because you do a video, don't you, Chris? Like you got a YouTube channel. There's another one, yeah. Because I mean, you don't think you're like, that's so statistically rare. It is. Until then, there's the girl who no one talks to you anymore at the party because you had sex with the girl one, or actually you didn't have sex with the girl, and then everyone's really hostile towards you. Like, what happened? Why? Hi guys, what's up? Well, that was weird. And then with older eyes, you're like, is that what she? What? Matt Baker, 87, 5 Canadian. Women have this giant expectation of guys, yet 95% of the women on the apps are these three overweight, liberal, or exceptionally high maintenance. Don't forget single. By the way, let me give some free advice to women. Don't have other men's kids. Okay, there. Just start with that one. Let's start with that. Oh, speaking of our future ballad country truck driver song person, Alex Patino, a truck driving Latino agent in the field, $5. Cappy, you're mansplaining. Nobody's gonna listen. I'm 100. We joke about it, Alex, but it's not a joke. It's not a joke. I am highly suspicious of what percent of these videos are sincere. That's why I'm just like, no, no. Tamir Sneer, hey, how you doing? I won't mention details. I read A World Without Men, left an Amazon review. Thanks, Tamar. Tamar. Thank you. I hope things are well where you live and things are going well. She was a client, and I hope she's doing well. Mexi Man and Cheese, $5. Women don't like men because for so long they needed us. They never had to develop a like for us. At least that's my theory. No, and I'm believing that theory. I don't even think it's a theory anymore. If you read either the Book of Numbers, Myron's book, Why Women Deserve Less, and then my latest book, A World Without Men, because I helped consult and edit Myron's book. The numbers there, when you put numbers to female behavior, they just don't like men that much. They don't hate them. I'm not saying they're not picking up torches and axes yet. Uh, but you look at it like this is not a group. I've said it before. If women like men, you'd know. This would be a lot easier. Women would wear dresses. They'd have long hair. They'd be in shape. That if women like men, so now women do like men, but they like things more than men, and that could be their career. I mean, just look at all their choices. What are women doing? Well, they're going to the nightclub, but they're not going out with men. They're buying shoes. They're getting degrees in education, and all. It's like, well, by that behavior, they prefer that over men. That's more important in their life than men. Maybe they would like to get to a man later on, but that even they want kids more than they want a man when you poll them. And so I also happen to agree. If you listen to feminism and you take them at their word, they tell you we don't need men anymore. We are liberated from men because they were effectively enslaved. They were dependent upon men, and now they're not. And now that they're free, you can see. I argue that their decisions is their true interest and demand for men, which is a mere fraction of what you thought it would be. Don's Goofy Videos, $2. Where is bad video quality Cappy today? Where is bad video quality Cappy today? Like my old videos, like where I filmed on what was it, a 480 camera or whatever? Mexi Man and Cheese, $2. TFM predicted we'd be getting chameleons about now. Yeah, yeah, it's true. Well, it's pretty obvious where there was one gal who did her trad wife thing, and she just always had like big ass tits and the cleavage, and but it was a dress, and she had a little crucifix. Hey guys, and then they identified her. They found out that she was a porn star beforehand. Yeah, there's a lot. It is a subsidiary or sub segment of prawn. Trad wife who's like, ooh, I'm such a good little Christian girl, but at night I'm a sexy little mink. Let's go have a lot of white babies. In Christ's name. Dude, that's faker than the pizza man with the hole in the pizza box for his unit to come up. The pizza box guy is more believable than that. That's just going way too fucking far. But yeah, and that's where I look at it. I'm like, I know that one's faking it because you could see linked to whatever cash apps or payment processors. But then the one that Better Bachelor talked about, and look, there's 160 million American women. Well, I mean, a lot of those are little girls, so 110 million adult women. I'm sure some women are really fucking regretting this feminist bullshit. I'm sure they're really regretting working hard. And I've seen just a personal observation of women I see in my life. They don't like working. They don't. I mean, nobody does. I am incredibly fortunate. But yeah, this day, so fuck videos again. Okay, I got to do it. But like real jobs, I've seen them and they don't like it. And I'm sure, it's sadly reminiscent of, I think it's All Quiet on the Western Front. Is that the World War One? Where I don't know if it's the book or the movie. Maybe it's both. There was even a new version of it came out, but I do remember where they're talking to the young German boys to get them fired up and go fight the Allies. And they think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a quick thing. And we're going to go get the whatever slur they used against the French or the Brits or whatever. And we're going to get them. And you're going to do this. And then they get to the trenches and they realize it's hell. What was the new one that came out? Was it just called All's Quiet on the Western Front, where the guy grabs the picture of the French girl from an advertisement and puts it up on his trench before he goes over and gets killed? It was the same thing. And then they get there and it's hell. And I'm wondering how much of that is for young women today, where you're told in school and college, like, you're going to go get those men and you're going to give them a run for their money and you're going to girl boss and you're all going to become Sheryl Sandberg and Hillary Clinton. You're going to get them. You're going to get them. It's going to be great. You're going to live the Sex of the City lifestyle. And it's just like, no, it's stuck in traffic for an hour a day each way. It's paying taxes. It's not having enough money. It's work, work. It's life. And then you can see it. They get stressed out. They're tired. And that was even back when some of these gals were still in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're like, "Well, I wouldn't mind being a stay-at home." I'm like, "Are you already get? You haven't even made it to the front line yet. You're still in the truck. You maybe okay, maybe you took a little bit of flack, but this ain't even it yet, man." And they're tired. And they're like, "I liked it." Like, nah, no, it's not in the budget. Can't do it. It's not going to happen. Under Universal coordinate, 80 generous Australian dollars. Thank you very much, Universal. I'm finding women in Australia are settling for the beta as they can control the relationship, then cheat with the T rash. The traditional relationship is all but dead. Read the menu. Yeah, that's been a strategy for a while though. And they've kept none of this undoes the male sex drive. You could say it's suppressed or down, and testosterone is certainly down. But for all these boys who are like, yeah, I'm not going to the club, I'm staying home, I'm not putting any effort. They are still starved for women. They are still starved for the pussy. And so just a little bit of a dashing, like, okay. I mean, Jesus said, the poor will always be with you. But then Saint Frank, which a lot of people didn't know was the 13th apostle, he says, yeah, and the simps will always be with you as well. The book of Saint Frank, that's not officially canon, but you should really probably read it. Christianity Unplugged, $2. They regret feminism after court-ordered money runs out. Well, and that how they got there, we could discuss. I say it's moot. It doesn't matter. Fine, you might find some beta guy to say, you might find it. They might find it. But it ain't going to be the guy they want. They're not getting the white picket fence and staying at home, taking care of the little rugrats. And I think if there is regret, women don't so much regret not having a husband, they regret not having kids. I think that's what it is. I have a friend who consults women on getting pregnant who are high risk, older gals. And there's not a single man in their lives. They just want to have the kid. And polling bears it out. Women would, if you give a choice, you can have a kid or you can have a man, they're going to take the kid. Black Sigma, 10 generous bucks. I prefer your books over Myron because you can't say women deserve less while getting more by promoting their OnlyFans and Instagram accounts, which produces their pay pig audience. Yeah, but what's he supposed to do? Not promote it? Like, they're there. And it's true. If we're talking about the same, now he's probably had plenty of gals, but I think one of them is like, I will get so many more subscribers to this. Myron's an empiricist. I have a lot of people like, oh, look at it's just Jerry Springer with tits. No, those two kids, two young men, they're way smarter than you think. So I wouldn't. You can't. They're also running a show. You can't say, oh my God, he had a girls with OnlyFans. Name me, where are they supposed to find what? How many women are going to have on the show who, if they're relegated to finding girls that don't have OnlyFans? What is it going to be? The boomer retirement hour? Talk about a pivot. My truth, $5. Girl bosses will control the relationship and his voting and wallet as well. You non-participants will obey by hook, vote, or by crook, empowered big daddy government. No, they will not obey. You are seeing men go galt. The labor force participation rate is going down. Men are asking out less women. That much where women are complaining about, that's true. Men are asking out women a lot less. The online dating apps are fucking dying. It's like you can't have a grocery store saying, we got watermelons for sale. And you go in there and there ain't no melons ever. And then I don't care if you have, 70% off. Yeah, but you never have melons. We're not going to the store anymore. You can't, and that's a lot of times the only solution is non-participation, is going gold. What, you think I'm going to go bust my ass off, go try and make 100, make 6 figs? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to work that hard. I'll spend less, hype more. And Ironically, here's what's sad is the Zoomers and millennial girls, the even more girl bosses. Now, fine, we can criticize women's career choices and degree choices, but they do work. Um, they're going to be paying for my social security. So, in a truly ironic sense, if I really were to operate in my best interest, I would continue to encourage women to girl boss, get STEM, get an MBA, get your CPA, go work hard, pay, live in a city and pay the taxes. I don't know. It's not that I like really care about women either. It's just I like the truth. I'm so sick and tired of the fucking insanity, the absurdity that women had that they thought we could just do without one half of the population, one entire gender, half the population, and it happens to be the half that fucking makes everything, which is hilarious. It's in there. A world without men. I go through what an economy would look like without men. It's not good. And I also went through a Nobel Prize in it was what was it? It was science. They have different subcategories. I didn't include like art and the social sciences. It was like medicine and technology or something like that. So in those two subcategories, it's something I went back to 100 years or whatever, and because you could get teams of people can get an award for 1 year, so it's not, and it's rarely just one person who gets an award. But I think it was 6 women and 150 guys. It's not even close. It's not close. And you say, well, that's because women were oppressed. We keep them in chains back in 1912. And then you go, okay, fine, I'll go back to the 1980s. It's like, no, they're still not, no. But, I honestly, well, I know what women are going to do without men. I do know what they're going to do without men. But we won't talk about that. The machinist, Asmer, $2. Hey, Cap, I used to be Apollo. I made a channel. Okay, should they subscribe to your machinist channel? I presume. Everyone go subscribe. Check it out. I don't know what it's about. Apollo, can you email me and remind me, send me the link? Because I'm not going to go back and remember this. I'm like a scrat from Ice Age, a very short attention span. Heinrich Dorfman, $5. Women don't understand these kids are not going to thank them for being without a father, but bring it on. Let them have all the kids. YOLO, am I right? I think the baby boomer women who are right at, well, they're at retirement age and into retirement age, but they're half a block away from the nursing home. You're going to see the Gen X kids not show up and not visit them. I mean, already the baby boomers didn't visit the grandparent or the parents in the nursing home, but there's going to be a lot less visits. And you Gen X, how you raise the kid, they're not going to visit you either. You millennial parents, oh my God, baby boomers, follow your heart and the money will follow. Okay, that's very bad advice. And then the Gen Xers like, oh, diversity is our strength. Okay, that's horrifically bad advice and it's bigoted. And then the millennials like, you should cut your tits off to be popular because you might not be a girl. Like, I think that one is going to have the most freakish Frankenstein monsters that will come back and make your life hell. Your children are going to be such tortured, miserable kids. They are going to hate it. You millennials hate the boomers. Wait till your kids grow up. Holy shit. All right, there you go. All right, link below. What the hell is linked below? A World Without Men, an analysis of an all-female economy. Guys, go get it. If look, I understand the revenge prawn. Go read it. If you want to know where this all ends, by the way, ladies, if you want to know where this all ends, where you don't need no man, and we're not gonna, we gotta outsource our children and vote to raise other people's children, and they could be stay-at-home people that live on welfare. You want to find out where this all ends? Go get A World Without Men and see where we're going. I know no one's going to change anything because that would have to admit you're wrong, but go get that book. The Book of Numbers, Analyzing ROI in the Pursuit of Women. Ladies, that will tell you exactly what not to do. Watch 2 old women bought that book. The dad you never had. So if you never got this advice or wisdom when you were younger and you were confused, please take that. And the menu, life without the opposite sex, because half of y'all ain't getting married. Ain't got no eggs. No more eggs. She all dried up down there. No more eggs. See you guys later. Toodles.